What's up, guys? It's AC, and I'm here to answer the questions that you guys left me on my Instagram post. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, so I had a lot of requests to do one again. Usually, when I do one, I just keep rambling on. It goes on for like an hour, so I'm gonna try to do it fast and effective. But we'll see how this goes. So, I haven't really spent any time going over these questions yet, so we'll do that now. Here's a question for you, man. Adam Cook, NPC. BCAs, what's your opinion? During the workout or before bed? I've seen a lot more benefit taking them before bed with my last meal than I have during my training. Um, if you're gonna take BCAAs, I would say take them during training. I don't really know why you would take them before bed. That's my personal opinion. If you're eating a meal before bed, because that should be enough protein assimilation for when you're sleeping. Um, I personally would recommend solid food before bed. It'll digest slower. A lot of times I would eat like red meat before bed because it's higher in fat and it will digest slower as I sleep. Whereas something like egg whites or fish will be assimilated much quicker, and you're more likely to be in catabolic state near the end of your sleep cycle. So that's my take. Um, what's your take on cardio on an empty stomach? Um, Cardio on an empty stomach, that's genetic. Um, I did it when I was trying to make 212, for sure, but I was just trying to just make myself smaller. Um, I think that you should do, for most of my preps, I have not done it, but I've kept myself lean and I just kind of slowly gone down. But when I've done a lot of cardio, I prefer to either do it fasted in the morning, an empty stomach, and I mean, don't have any carbs, like, because that ruins it. Straight out of bed, hit the cardio or right after your workout. But I feel like that takes away. See, when you're dieting, you're more apt to lose muscle. So doing your cardio post workout is like just beating a dead horse to me. Um, so if I had to choose one, I would say do fasted, or just some other time in the day. I used to like to do it. I would train, eat a meal, um, and then wait till that meal had kind of not. And this is when I was prepping, so I didn't have a lot of carbs with that meal. And then about 2 hours later, I would do cardio, and then have no carbs with a meal before bed. I like to do it that way too. And at that point, I was doing that and fasted cardio. So I don't really like to get to that point, but to get to 212, I had to. Um, Flexibility and mobility. I notice that the more I lift, the less mobile I get, especially in the shoulders and hips. I routinely stretch, trying to work my chest, shoulders, hips, hamstrings, calves, and anything that feels sore, tight, but at best, I seem to not get worse. What do you recommend for shoulders and hips to make sure that as size increases, mobility improves as well? This is the most aggravating thing, in my opinion, about lifting. Well, um, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but you can't always, have your cake and eat it too. The bigger you get, um, the less mobile you are. I mean, it. For an example, if I was going to be a fighter, if I was going to try to get an MMA, I mean, I would lose a ton of muscle because this is not really efficient. This is for bodybuilding. Um, I, I was kid, like if people want to play a game on the floor or something, I'm like, nah, I don't want. I can't sit on the floor. Like, I'm not very mobile. Like, even though I stretch, even though I get massage work done, and try to do what I can, you're gonna lose mobility, because bodybuilding is not functional muscle. Um, If you just want to be mobile and athletic, then you should pretty much choose, another route of training where weight training is kind of an accessory to what you're doing. When you go to Chipotle, do you get extra guac? Extra guac? No. I've gotten guac before, but Aaron is cheap, and what I do normally is I get like double or triple black beans because black beans are a great lean source of protein, and they don't charge you any extra for that. So I have them pile that on there, and then my burrito is cheap and effective. So that's what I do. Gyno issues for people is an issue. Can you suggest what meds are best for usage in the UK? Doctors don't help with this issue here. It has to be treated on the black market. It's not as easy here in the UK as it is for you in the US. To be honest with you, and I see another comment down here about B6. I haven't really heard about using B6 for gyno. I'll be honest with you, I had gyno surgery when I was 21, and I had actually never used any, anabolic steroids. I had used a couple pro hormones, but I just wanted to get rid of it, so I just went and got it surgically removed. And if you really are serious about getting into bodybuilding, my advice to you would just to be, deal with it for as long as you can and then get that shit cut out. Because otherwise it's going to be a headache for as long as you do this. So that's my 2 cents. Letrozole and all these things, they can help it to kind of calm down, but to calm your tits. But in general, you got to cut it out. Once it's there, cut it out. And it sucks. It's expensive. I have a funny story about the whole thing, but we won't even get into that right now. What's your training split? In short, every 5 days, sometimes every 4 days, I hit legs really hard. One is centered on hamstrings, one quads. I squat both days, so both are really intense. But I find if I train legs more frequent than that, my back and my hips and knees, and they all start to make me feel like an old man. So I kind of put my upper body workouts in between those, and I don't lump a lot of body parts together. I do chest. I'll do maybe like chest, back, and then shoulders, delts. And for things like shoulders, I'll do definitely calves, definitely use some abs. It's a short workout. I train calves every workout, and arms at the end of the cycle, usually. In regards to right before you train, what is your warm-up or stretching mobility routine? Do you have a different warm-ups for each body part train? I don't, you shouldn't stretch a cold muscle, so I don't stretch much before I train, but I always do rotator cuff warm-ups. If I'm going to be doing something where I'll be pressing or putting much, stress on my shoulders. For things like back, I'll do, like a rope pull down, a lat pull down before I'll do something like bodyweight pull up, just because it's lighter and just to kind of put blood in there without actually really pulling on the joint. That's what I like to do for each body part. Not really stretching, but just do a light movement. Like for chest, I'll do some cable flies, light, not the failure, not using much weight, just to do the movement, just to kind of stretch and squeeze, and that makes me feel comfortable, kind of gets everything ready to go, and then I'll kind of gear into my more serious movements for the day. And for legs, Always hip abduction and abduction. Um, I always start with that. I think it's very important. I don't see enough guys on that machine. I know it looks silly, but it's extremely important. You gotta warm up your hips before you start pushing big weights. Otherwise, you'll pay for it. Should creatine and healthy fats be eliminated during contest prep? No, I don't believe so. Yes, no, the extra guac. I think it depends on what else you put on your burrito, and it depends on who you are, and if you're dieting, if you're trying to gain weight. There's too many variables. I can't answer that question. But guacamole is delicious. Training once or twice a muscle a week for growing. Um, should you train a muscle once or twice a week for growing? I think that depends on how hard you train. For me, if I really train heavy, it's not that my muscles can't recover, but my ligaments and my tendons, uh, they're just. I know I could train them everything, 2, maybe 3 times a week, but I also know that if I did that, I wouldn't be able to move anywhere near as much weight. So I think it depends on what you want to do with your workout. Um, you know, how do you train? And different people really recover at different rates. I see some people that just, I don't know how they recover so fast, but for me, it's usually like a little less than a week, but maybe 5 or 6 days to me is like a good amount of time between training a body part hard to hit it again. Um, that's just my opinion. That's just my body. So there's a lot of variables that go into that. Are you an ass or a boob guy? I'm an ass guy. Do you like that you have a nice big butt? Well, I should, because we should all be comfortable in our skin and love our bodies. I'm a bodybuilder, so I guess I'm not, but we'll say yes. I do love that. Okay, to gain mass in legs, it's said that 15 to 20 reps will work better than 6 to 10 reps. Your view on best way to increase leg size? I say all of the above. Legs, to me, it's kind of like, okay, I used to really crank it out for arms, like do these stupid, 3 hour arm workouts, and I'll just say like that is just stupid, because your biceps and your triceps are really they're secondary muscle groups in almost all of your workouts, and they're small muscles. Okay, your legs are huge. If you think about it, that's half of your body. So you really need to punish the hell out of them when you train them. That's why if you see me doing things like, you'll see me do, I'll pair 2 exercises. So with the first exercise, I'm going heavy enough that I'm failing at, 8 reps, 8 to 12 reps. And then the second exercise um, is kind of like just go till you can't. Um, and I think that for me, for legs, that's what's given me the best results. So, um, and yes, sometimes I'll just do squats straight, but never first. Always after some supersets or giant sets. After I have like a crazy pump in my legs, and I can a painful pump. So that's my opinion. Intensity is the name of the game. I'm not really big on like, if you're using a weight that you can do 20 reps, I think it's too light. So I think you should do like 10 reps and then superset it with something else. That's my opinion. Other than good genetics, what do you think helped to get your glutes the way they are? I have a hard time getting them striated before a stage. Do you think it's a lack of muscular development or just conditioning? Because my whole body gets shredded before my glutes do. Um, I mean, I didn't actually have a chance to look at your physique. I can later. I'm not gonna do that right now, but I think it could possibly be Some people just don't have a lot of glute development, so it it gets hard for it's hard to have shredded glutes. My glute development, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I squat a lot and I do lunges and I do all these movements that do, um, stimulate the glute muscles and you know, and I train hard. But I think some of it is that I have kind of like a tilt, a pelvic tilt, and so when I train, it's just like direct, um, glute stimulation. So it's like a posture defect almost. I guess you call it kind of like a lordosis. Um, I think that I have a decent amount of it. So blessing and a curse. I don't know. Um, but my glutes are the last thing that come into. My stomach is lean, then my legs get lean, and then my glutes are the last to show up to the party. So whatever, doesn't matter. As long as you get there, you get there. How can I clean bulk and do it properly? I'm always fucking it up. How can I get rid of my bloating? This bloating is running my life. Think current calories is now 5,400 or so. Thanks. Thank you too. Um, I would say, to me, I mean that seems like a lot of calories. And if the bloating is really messing with you, um, you really need to figure out what your baseline metabolic rate is, like how many calories you need to exist, and then you need to figure out how much you need to hop up, to climb the ladder. Obviously, if this is your basic metabolic rate, and then you're eating this much, you are gonna be bloated as hell. You're gonna feel like shit. So I kind of like, I would rather gain weight on a, you know, slower rate, at a slower rate, than to just totally pig out, like force, a massive um, caloric excess. Sorry. Um, but yeah, that's your body, so you need to figure out kind of where you're at and go from there, man. How do I get a fit girl's number at the gym? Do I take off my pants and show her my legs? Or do I show her my ripped gluteus maximus? What do you suggest? Well, it depends on who you are. But if you want to show body parts, just take your pants off, I guess. And if that doesn't work, then get a new haircut. Um, how much and what kind of cardio do you do to stay relatively lean while bulking in the off season? Um, I don't really do. I'm not really doing any straight cardio right now at all. I do like I said, like the giant sets, the supersets, so my heart rate really gets up there. But um, I just make sure that I'm not eating an absurd amount, and I just stay lean. Um, if you train hard and you just kind of stay on top of everything, you shouldn't really get way off track. Totally fall off the wagon. So everyone is different, but that's just my. You shouldn't need to be doing a ton of cardio to stay lean in your off season. And if you don't train super intense, if you train like a power lifter, then I'd say yeah, you should do some just for your heart and for your health. But if you're really cranking out in the gym, then get in, get out. I mean, everyone's different. Figure out what works for you. Um, but you only have so much energy to expend if you want to grow. I would rather eat more, eat cleaner, and eat less, and not be having to just do a lot of cardio. That's just me. I feel like my workouts are better that way too. What do you think of Chris Forza? He may be the craziest dude of all time. Well, I am an uninformed person because I do not know who that is. And if that offends somebody, then I'm sorry, but I don't know who Chris Forza is. Oops. Do you change your protein sources regularly? And do they change them when you're in the off season as opposed to pre-contest? Thanks, man. Um, I mean, like, okay, well, I won't eat something like a sandwich or something if I'm on a diet now. Like, I do eat stuff like that sometimes, just to be 100% honest with you. Um, but my protein sources, when I've prepped, I've usually eaten lean red meat once a day, and the rest of my meals are egg whites or chicken breast or fish. And up until this off season, when Blackstone came out with fast food, I never did any protein shakes. So no whey, casein, nothing. Just egg, egg protein, fish, chicken, beef. That's it. Um, let's see. Bro, split or push and pull? Which is your preference and why? Oh, like, I used to do a back and chest day, and it was kind of cool. It was like a secondary day, but it wasn't very heavy. Now I've kind of eliminated it. I split it all up. Any tips on blowing up my quads without putting too much stress on my knees? Running out of cartilage. Get some good knee sleeves, um, and be smart. I mean, I don't know how bad your knees are, man. But there are some exercises that if your knees say no, don't go. That's just the way it is. Don't want to run out of cartilage. That's bad. All right. Do you think that taking a week to rest is a good idea? If so, how many times? 2 to 3 times a year would be good. Um, that really depends. I think that it can be good if you're competing, like really pushing your body. I used to, as a general rule, if I did a show, I would make myself take at least like 5 days after the show of no gym. Just because your electrolytes and everything are all fucked up and you just kind of want to just let everything kind of come back and then go back to the gym. And a lot of times too, you're mentally burned out, so it kind of gives you a chance to itching to go back, and then you go back. But in terms of taking a week off, obviously there's more important things in life, um, and you know, hey, I'm a pro bodybuilder, but we have family, we have things, you gotta make money, your health. So it's this. There's so many things that could ask for a week off, basically. So it depends on how important things are to you and who you are, what you got to do. But I wouldn't be afraid to do it. You're not gonna shrivel up and waste away in a week. What do you think is better, conventional or sumo deadlifts? Um, for a bodybuilder, conventional. I don't know why you would ever sumo deadlift. Um, just my opinion. Okay. Looks like the gain has been good for you. Well, not on stage. Are you at your target weight? If not, what is that looking like? Also, do you plan on staying with Blackstone as they continue to grow as a company? Um, I don't really have a target weight as much as just, improve, grow. I don't really like to put progress, measure it numerically, because I feel like you should just let the body change and just focus on, you know, how you look, how you improve. If you have a goal weight, um, you know, no, it doesn't matter how much you weigh on stage. The only reason it mattered to me in 2015 was because I had to weigh 212. I had to get down to that weight. I turned pro in the heavyweights at 203 pounds, and that's 198 to 220, 225 and a quarter, 225. It's about 225. I forget the exact number, but point made is that I was pretty much the smallest dude, and I won the class. So I don't have a goal weight. I'm pretty happy with the way that things have improved. So we're just taking it from here. And yes, 100%, I plan to stay with Blackstone. Blackstone has been very good to me. Um, I've worked as a sales manager in that company, done a lot of media. Um, you know, I feel like we run deep, so um, I'm really loyal to that company, and I love the people, I love the products, and I just love what's going on there. And yeah, I'd love to stay there for as long as I possibly can. I only did the morning abs for a short period of time, and it was mostly just things on the floor. It wasn't anything um, like yeah, mind blowing or anything. I would do like just crunches and like where I would press my lower back against the ground and move my legs back and forth like a few inches off the ground. Just simple things. Now I do them in the gym, and it's working fine. Have you ever squatted and deadlifted in the same day? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I have, and it's just not good for me. I don't like it, just because when I squat, I'm cashed after that. I'm done. Um, and both of them are extremely taxing on your CNS, and I think that they're kind of targeting sort of similar or sort of different parts of your body. So like if you do one before the other, you're gonna be weaker at one. So I wouldn't like to group them together. Um, I feel like I squat on a leg day. I might do like some type of Romanian deadlift, but straight deadlifts with squats, no. If you're a bodybuilder, I think it's a bad idea. If you're a power lifter, I understand you're training for strength, so that's not my forte. So no comment on that. Would you say that guys hold body fat better than others? Some guys hold body fat better than others, and to make optimal gains in regards to competing. Is some fat gain in the off season necessary in your opinion? When do you know if you're starting to become a fat ass if your strength is still going up nicely? Should you really even worry about the bloat? I guess USB. That's a question. Okay, so obviously you're not going to be contest lean all year. That's not realistic, nor is it healthy for you. And you're not really going to make gains in that state. So some fat gain, as in like being a healthy body fat of or like an athlete, like 8 to 10%. I think that's good. Um, when do you know you're starting to become a fat ass? When you start to look like a fat ass. Like if your abs go away and you stop looking like a bodybuilder, then you're becoming a fat ass. So that's my opinion. You should always look like a bodybuilder. You should not look like you were 2 weeks out or anything. But I think you should always be, you know, 8 weeks away or so from a show. You should look like that. Um, because the one thing that it sticks in my mind is you can gain a fat cell easily, but it's extremely hard to kill a fat cell. You can shrink it, but it won't go away. There's only certain ways to make it go away, but most of the time it stays. So there's no reason to like balloon up and gain fat cells because chances are you're going to keep them and your skin is not going to look as tight. So stay within striking range, man. That's my 2 cents. Do I have Snapchat? Yes, I do, but I never use it. I don't know why. I just don't like it. I just don't ever use it. I need to start using the Instagram one. When do you think you'll be releasing more designs for shirts on AC Wear? Well, um, the first design sold really well. The second design did not. So I'm sitting on a large pile of inventory at the moment. So until those start selling, I'm not just going to keep throwing money into new designs because people aren't buying those ones. So, um, yeah, would I like to have like 10 designs on the site? Yeah, of course, but, um, you know, I have thousands of dollars worth of t-shirts just sitting in the other room, so um, I'm kind of waiting until those start to flow, and then new designs will start to flow your way. Fist pump boom. Do you believe in alpha lipoic acid, ALA, for blood sugar metabolism and glycogen shuttling into cells? It has been studied to activate GLUT4 transporter. Um, that's something I'll just be honest. Like, do I believe in it? Yeah, if you show me the papers, I'll be like, yeah, looks like it works, but I've never really taken it, or it wouldn't be something that if I was working with somebody, I'd be like, this is something that we need to add. And I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm sure that it does, but I don't have any experience with it other than in products, but um, nothing really notable. For lacking chest development, what are some tips you recommend to build a bigger chest and fix this issue, such as form tips, barbell over stumble presses, or floor presses? Um, I think that there's some variables that go into that. For example, I used to train with a guy who was over 6'5". Now, my chest would get stimulated through presses, but his would be better doing flies because he had to go like 2 miles down just to, you know, get a press in. So he didn't have a huge rib cage either. So I think it depends on you build. Um, I think it's extremely important that you learn to kind of, expand your rib cage and then squeeze your shoulder blades together in the back so that when you press, your chest is what's in front. Because, if you're just flat here, like pressing, your shoulders are going to take most of the load, and your triceps, and you're never really going to be stretching the chest. Um, in terms of dumbbell and barbell, I I would say that I prefer dumbbell. Um, Recently, I've been doing barbell, and it's helped just because it's heavy, but I really am careful. Like I'll just go up to 405, and I'll normally crank out as many reps as I can, and then that's it. I go to dumbbell presses, and that in and of itself has made my chest grow. So, um, I'm always learning. I don't, in terms of incline barbell, I'm really kind of, I only like a slight incline for chest. And this is something I've kind of learned over the past year. Um, just with training, I feel like, you know, like the gym that I train at, the incline barbell benches are so steep that I hadn't done it in a while, and I got on there and I was like, man, I'm barely even stimulating my chest. Feels like front delts. So it kind of depends. Um, with the dumbbells, you get to adjust the bench, put it at the right, um, incline, and go from there. So you have a little bit more freedom. So I say dumbbells, doing them on the floor flies are great. Experiment, trial and error, my friend. How do you stay so lean in the off season, bro? Just keep yourself accountable. And I mean, I have lean genetics. I've never been fat. I was a small little guy, so it's harder for me to retain size. And I really, you would probably be surprised at how little I eat. Like I eat enough, but I don't eat like an absurd amount. Um, so, and that's with all the nutrients, macronutrients. So, just you know, be conscious. Look in the mirror every day and be like, "Am I getting off track?" And if you are, then change something. Um, it's pretty much as simple as that. That's how I look at it. Top three favorite exercises for each muscle group. Damn. Uh, we'll just say legs. I like squats, but I don't do them first. Leg press and whew, lunges or hack squats. I have to say lunges because they stimulate more um, muscle fibers in the legs. Um, Back, maybe pull ups, two arm dumbbell rows, and probably barbell rows. Um, Chest, I love bench press, but I try to be careful. Incline dumbbell press and floor flies. Shoulders, rear delt raises are just so important. No one does them enough. Side dumbbell laterals and dumbbell presses. And arms, biceps. I don't know. I'm just gonna give you like I just use dumbbells. Barely any barbells. And triceps. A lot of rope cables. Um, Skull crushers with close grip press. Um, some one arm dumbbell extensions. Um, Nothing too wild. Anyways, how many times per week would you suggest to do calves if they're weak? I just like to do it every time I walk in the gym. I'll just go to the calf machine and bang out like 5 6 sets. Sometimes I'll do a superset. I'll do like a seated calf raise, superset with a standing calf raise, or vice versa. Um, just to get a crazy pump, and then I'll stretch the hell out of them because I think that's important after you train calves and they're really pumped. I think you should really force a deep stretch in them, just to kind of try to expand the fascia if you can. Um, but I think you can train them almost every day. And if that seems like too much, every other day, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, it's probably a good amount. Um, Normally on leg day, I won't train them just because, like, if I'm going to be squatting heavy or something, I don't really want to weaken. I feel like sometimes your strength comes from the ground up, so I just leave them alone on those days. But all the other days, they get attention. Do I do cardio in the off season? Sometimes. I already touched on that. What's the best exercise to trigger quads if you don't have a hack squat machine? Hmm. Well, if you mean with heavy weight, I would say doing leg press with um, obviously correct form, foot placement, and depth, and doing um, like I do the rest pause sets. So I'll do a set of 8. We'll just say 8. I'll fail at 8 reps, and then I'll rack the weight, and I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll count to 10, and then I'll unrack it, and then I'll go to failure again. And sometimes I'll do that. Then sometimes I'll rack it and count again, and then go to failure again. Things like that are really good for me because it's just pretty much all quads. It's taking out your hips, your back out of the equation if you're doing it right. But I also feel that exercises like squats, um, you see a lot of guys and they have really big, like their quads look really big, but when they flex them, there's like nothing going on up, in the upper region in terms of separation. And I feel like that's because they don't do a lot of lunges, deep squats. Um, you got to really stimulate the whole quad. Um, so there's not like the one. It's you got to hit it from all angles, my friend. Can you get more in depth on the apple cider vinegar, how to drink it and all? To be honest with you, I haven't been doing it recently. Um, I've been doing it for a while, and yeah, I just stopped. I felt like I was getting actually kind of more acid reflux, and yeah, now I just wake up and chug water, and I take like a really large dose of N-acetylcysteine, which is a really strong antioxidant. It converts to glutathione, so that's really good for your liver and detoxifying your body. So um, that's something I do. But the vinegar, yeah, there's health benefits to it, but I also felt like it was kind of, I don't know. I'm off and on that. Um, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. What is your opinion on how do you feel about moving up from the 212 class? Pros and cons. Well, pros. I don't have to, um, you know, poop out my kidneys from trying to drop what 12 pounds in like 8 hours or something crazy like that. Um, uh, Cons, there's some big motherfuckers out there. So I think that the guys that inspire me are people like, William Bonac, Dexter Jackson. Um, There's just two names off the top of my head who are not necessarily the biggest guy, but they're up there fighting with the biggest guys for the top spots. So I'm just trying to improve and gain size and just complete my physique because that's what really needed to be done. The problem for me was that I felt like at 212 my physique was not complete. So it's not that I need to weigh 280 pounds. I just need to be complete and in good condition, in great condition. So that's the goal. What's a rough example of a day's eating for you currently, in terms of meal by meal? Um, I eat out probably once a day, and I'll make like you know, I eat carbs with every meal right now, but I'll be honest with you, it's not very strict. So it's very hard for me to give you like meal one is this and meal two is that. Um, when I know what show I'm doing and I'm kind of starting to look and try and decide what I'm doing, that's when I'm gonna really drop the hammer on like um, where I could say my first meal at this time. Um, right now, I just, to be honest with you, I eat everything. Um, and I know I said like be careful, but I don't seem to be getting fat from it. So I'm, get my blood work done, and my cholesterol and everything, it's fine. So, um, I'm not going crazy, but I do try to eat calorically dense foods. Um, like I said, I'll eat subs and um, burritos. Um, but when I do get those things, I make it's like clean dirty because I need calories. Like I need calorically dense food. Otherwise, I cannot gain weight. If you just handed me chicken and rice all the time, it would be like it would be like a prep. So um, that's just all I'm gonna say on that right now. Your opinion on time on equals time off. Do you think this is an appropriate thing to go by, or is that just bro science? Well, that depends on who you are and why you are on. Are you on because you want to be jacked? Or are you on because you're professional something? You know, you're using it for a competitive reason, or what are your going into it? What are your pre-existing health conditions? There's a lot of things that kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about that sort of thing. Um, you're trying to have kids, um, and let's be real. Like, let's say someone's staying on for a really long time. There's definitely still ways to have children. Um, so I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at that time. Um, but time on equals time off is a very conservative um, way to go about it. And if I were to, since you're asking me, I'd say, yeah, if you can be smart about it and take care of yourself, then yeah, that's a good way to go about doing it. But like most people I talk to, time off does not equal time on at all. Not even close. Next question. What are your thoughts about Anadrol with TRT? What would be a good dosage? Um, if you're taking TRT, that means testosterone replacement therapy. So that means you're probably taking, less 250 milligrams or less a week. That's TRT to me. Um, and Anadrol is harsh. Um, if you can stomach it, it'll give you good results. Um, I would say start with start with 50, and if you can do 100, do 100. But at the same time, I don't, I wouldn't say TRT is not TRT and Anadrol are not. Doesn't sound like it goes to the same party together. Like Anadrol is a nasty, nasty drug, in my opinion. Moving on. Have you ever had a wing scapula? And if you had, how did you manage it? I'm sorry, I have not. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I'm glad that I have not, but I'm sorry that I can't help you there, because knock on wood, or leather in this case, I haven't had one. Calves, man, calves. How do you develop calves? Well, I train them every day, and one technique that I actually saw in a Ben Bukowski video: don't train your calves quickly, and don't try to use a lot of weight, as in the reps. Like you see a lot of people load up the calf raiser scene, and they're like, they're not really like actually contracting. Oh well. So what I do is when you contract, let your calves stretch out. Normally I kind of at this kind of stance, and then I contract onto my big toe, into my big toe. So that's a full contraction, and I'll do that till is one contraction, and then when I'm too tired to actually do it in one contraction, I normally go half and then finish. So it's like a two-part movement. Um, that's my little strategy. But other than that, I don't have any rocket science to spit at you about that stuff. So, moving on, what do you think is the most effective method for getting in the contest shape from a diet perspective? Do you utilize ketogenic method or just carb cycling? Um, I really just utilize like an airplane. You just slowly come down to landing. I don't try to do any crazy zero carbs, or like today we're gonna have this and then none tomorrow. I kind of try to keep everything, the same every day, and just slowly come down, look at myself every day, evaluate my body every day, and there's not really a plan. Um, it changes, adapt and survive. That's my mentality, and that's how I've always gotten in shape. Is just kind of, you know, take pictures of yourself when you're getting close to guns. I would wake up. First thing I did was I'd take pictures of myself. Like of my glutes, see what they look like first thing in the morning. That sounds silly, but hey, we're bodybuilding. Um, and you just go from there. What you gonna do that day? Um, I once again, I'm not an extremely numeric person. I think that this is bodybuilding is mental, and it's very hard to quantify. Um, and the body is just it's a puzzle. You got to figure it out. So everybody responds differently to carb cycling, ketogenic. I think it depends on where you come from. Were you overweight before? Were you thin before? Um, there's a lot of factors. Again, trial and error, see what works for you. But what worked for me is what I just said. So, okay, more calves. Reps. Are you going to do the Baltimore Pro in July? I'm not going to comment on any shows that I may or may not be doing right now because it's still all cooking up here. And I know as soon as I say the word that everybody is going to. I'm married to it. So we're keeping that under wraps right now. I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing, but I don't want to wait too long, so just keep that in mind. My favorite exercise to build erectors, I feel like any type of bent over movement builds your erectors. I like the dumbbell row, the dumbbell deadlift superset. In terms of direct erector work, your erectors just get punished when you're doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like if you squat real heavy, every 5 days you're going up 5 plates, maybe more. Your erectors are working pretty hard. So I personally don't do a lot of direct erector work. But I do like those row deadlift supersets. Yeah, that's all I got for you, man. Sorry. Favorite deathcore metal band? Since I know you like Thy Art Is Murder, favorite song and album from them? I don't know, man. I'm not really deep in that game. I just like metal. I used to be a huge metalhead, and now I'm just kind of a bystander. If people know what's in right now, I'm retarded. I really have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, I put some Thy Art Is Murder stuff out there just because, yeah, I dig it. But, like, if you're like, dude, what's your favorite album or song? I'd be like, I don't know. I think, I'll tell you right now that, what's the one I have? What is the one I have? Hate. I have the album Hate. With the demons on it and the fire. I'm sure they all have demons on them. But anyways, that one's good. How do you get back into the? How do you get back into it after being sick and out of the gym for a week? Well, how sick? Like throwing up, fevers. For me, last time I got real sick and I was out for a week, and I was like, damn, I haven't trained in a week. I'm feeling like shit, and I feel like, I've been like in a cage. And I just want to get after it. I just went in and I did. That's when I'll revisit a previous question. Have you ever squatted and deadlifted the same day? That's the day I did it because I felt so, like I had to train. So I benched heavy, I squatted heavy, and I deadlifted at the end. And that was that. I think that was Thanksgiving. And then the next couple of days, I did like abbreviated workouts, did with multiple body parts just to try to catch up. And then I just got back into my regular schedule. So, that seems to be the end of our questions. And it did take me almost an hour. We're very close. So I'll just close it out right now. Thank you guys for those of you who sat and listened to me this entire time. I don't know how I can captivate people for an hour, but I really appreciate that you guys enjoy these videos, and I will keep doing them. I really love interacting with you guys, and it makes me feel good knowing that you guys want to ask me questions. So keep them coming, and I'll keep them coming back. So thank you. Keep training hard. Be safe, and I just want to say thank you again for being supporters. Peace.